Oh, sorry, I was muted. Okay, so as I was saying, um, the point of this activity was actually to get you guys to see that leaders are everywhere in your life. So they don't just need to be political candidates running for presidents. They can be as simple as just your teachers and your family members, right? So noting that, through the activity as well as through the rest of the lecture, keep your gingerbread man beside your table and just continuously add on to the gingerbread man, whichever values that you hear that you think is like, oh, it's pretty important for a leader to have this, and just buff up your gingerbread mans, okay? At the end of the lecture, we will all share our gingerbread mans for each other to see. Okay, so next. So personally, to let you guys know a bit more about myself, I just finished my national service, the kind of a boy to man phase, and I think I did meet a lot of good leaders in the army. So what do y'all feel when they see this photo? Uh, do you feel intimidated? Because I kind of feel intimidated as well. But the best leaders in army, they they give you this vibe. Okay, they exude like this powerful aura, but they also feel reliable. They might be strict, but they're also very efficient. In the army, kindness doesn't win you wars, right? So I believe a good leader is one that ultimately can achieve the intended outcome and fulfill the mission objective. So that brings us to our module objectives today. Today I'll be introducing to you guys just four basic types of leadership styles. And you might find that actually in the examples they all shared earlier, uh, these leaders fall under these four categories. And ideally, you will, by the end of this lecture, become familiar with the key characteristics that differentiates each of these leadership styles. Um, of course, that also means understanding the pros and cons of each style, as well as the common things that leaders share, regardless of which style or which kind of leader you might be. You might be, okay, I'll go on to that later. Ultimately, the end goal is for you to master and employ all of these styles and blend them to suit your own needs, to suit the situation, um, as you're going to come across different people. So, how should we approach this module? So, it will be useful that you always contextualize whatever is being taught to your own examples, to your own life, your own families, and your environments. Know that the different leaders that we talk about today are all around you, as I said earlier, and it is crucial to note through the lecture that there is no right or wrong leadership style. There's there is only a wrong time and place. So my job here is to lay out everything for you guys, and your job as um, potential leaders will be to choose appropriately which kind of style you want to employ at each time and space to best suit your needs. Okay, so without further ado, let's start with the first style of leadership for today: democratic leaders. So democratic leaders, they distribute the responsibility amongst their members, and everybody in the team has an equal say in the decision making. The leader listens to everybody. He considers their opinion before he makes the final say. Okay, so now it's a thinking question. So write these questions down in your notebook. So first of all, what do you think are some qualities of such a leader? Second, what do you think are some challenges that he might face? And lastly, what are some conditions that we need in order for democratic leadership to be successful in building an effective team? Let me pick on just someone to share his response. How about Kek Bin from Choa Chu Kang? Sorry, Bin Kiet from Choa Chu Kang. Hi Bin Kiet, are you there?
Sorry, my Zoom a bit glitchy.
Hi. Yeah, Binket. So can you share what do you think are some qualities that a successful democratic leader might have? Let me just go back to the slide for you to refer.
Like
Remember, it's someone that listens to you, right?
accountability,
Okay, definitely accountability because you need to um, take note of all the opinions of your team members. Any more?
like ability to
The ability to
delegate, like split out tasks among each other,
speak out amongst each other. So, like, are you saying like vocal?
like split out tasks among each other,
Oh, delegate to split out tasks among each other. Yes. So, perhaps a good democratic leader is also someone that delegates well. So, what do you think delegates well means?
like communicate very well with others, I
Correct.
guess.
So, yeah. Okay, so it will involve a degree of communication, right? So, yeah, you brought up very good points. So, actually, some qualities that democratic leaders might have: patience, uh, communication, as you brought out, listening, as well as foresight. And of course, as you said, there are also many more qualities like accountability, his ability to delegate. All these are important skills. So, yeah, y'all can write this down in your notebooks. So, patience, listening and communication skills, foresight. Okay, so why do you think a democratic leader might need foresight? Because earlier on I said that he makes the final decision, right? So with everybody giving him different opinions, you need to be a leader with foresight to know like, okay, this is the route that we're gonna take. If not, there's like 20 different routes and you'll be very confused. Okay, so great sharing. Thanks again, Binkat. And for the rest of the two questions, take note of them in your notebooks and I'll be going through them in the lecture. So let's take a look at the pros and cons of democratic leadership. So first of all, democratic leaders they motivate their team by empowering the team to voice their opinions and their ideas. So in your CCA setting, you might notice that some of your NCOs ask for your feedback for how to improve the next training session. So in these feedback sessions, you can tell your NCO like, hey, I want more recreation, I want maybe more first aid training, so on and so forth. In the long run, this creates a very strong and productive team, and everyone feels very motivated to give their own inputs, right? But what are some challenges that democratic leaders might face? Uh, let's say the trainees, uh, going back to the feedback example, let's say the trainees had many different views. Some of them wanted more foot drill for the next session. Some wants more first aid. Actually, some just wants to play basketball or have early dismissal for the next training session. So this debrief is going to have a lot of different ideas and it's going to drag, correct? And as the NCO, as a democratic NCO, you might struggle to try and cater to everybody's uh, opinions and their wants. In the end, some people's feedback might not be taken, and this might result in them feeling like left out, neglected, and as a leader, you might even feel so-called apologetic to them. So in the previous NCOC that I held, the cadets misunderstood the word leaders having a high probability of being apologetic because they thought it meant like, oh, as a leader, I will feel very sorry. And then my solution to this would be to ask myself, why am I sorry? And to realize, okay, actually, I'm not sorry. Okay, but that's not the idea here. The idea here is that as a leader, um, if you have to constantly think about if you constantly consider the opinions of your team members, as I said, there is a chance that you will not be able to fulfill some of their needs and opinions. And that's why you feel as if like, oh, I didn't do my job well enough. But that in itself is the disadvantage of being a democratic leader because uh, if I give you like 50 team members, it's going to be very hard to accommodate to every single one of their opinions. So that's what being apologetic is referring to. Okay, so when does this kind of leadership work? Democratic leadership works only when the team is actually mature and experienced enough to give you very good suggestions. So they must be mature enough ultimately to understand that it's okay if their own opinions are not uh, taken, and to focus on the big overarching organization goal instead. They must trust the leader. Uh, they must trust the leader, and that the leader knows what's best, essentially. That he has tried his best to listen to whatever we are saying, and in the end, like to support this larger organizational goal. Yeah. So let's look at one example of such a leader in in this world. Nelson Mandela is the former president of South Africa, and he's the country's first black president. So Mandela believed that everybody was equal in their rights, despite the difference in their skin color or political beliefs. And even his enemies, who had caused him to be jailed for 3 decades, this is 30 years in prison, he managed to forgive them and turn his enemies into his fellow co-workers and use their support to eventually rebuild the country. So such a leader, these are some quotes from him. You can see through his quotes that he was really quite an open-minded person who was able to turn opposition into strength, and his vision of democracy, where none is exploited, oppressed, or dispossessed by another. So really the idea reinforced of having equal rights, equal say, everybody having equal power in the decision making of the country. All right, so now let's move on to the next style of leadership, autocratic leadership. So autocratic leaderships, these guys are strong, they're firm, they're harsh, and they make decisions uh, very fast without much consultation from the team. So maybe you can already think of some examples of such people. Very striking. Okay, so let's ask for some responses. Do I have any volunteers? Can you think of an example of an autocratic leader? How about Qin Xin from Nanyang Girls? Hi, Qin Xin. Don't panic. Just think of a good. I'll give you a good hint. The coming U.S. elections, if you're looking at it. Oh, is your mic working? Yeah, okay. Okay, okay. It's all right. You can take your time to think about the examples. Let's pick someone else. Okay, how about Kaden from Chachukang? Kaden, can you hear me? Hi, Kaden. I'm yourself. Can you think of someone who sounds like a autocratic leader? Let me just go back to the previous slide.
Oh, I don't know. Who? I
Okay.
can't think of any.
Okay, does anyone have any examples that come to their mind when we think about these strong, firm leaders that make fast decisions without really uh, consulting the team members?
Adolf Hitler,
Oh, who's that?
Pinhan,
Pinhan from.
Kranji Secondary School.
Okay, thanks, Pinhan. So That's correct. So Hitler is one of such leaders. Very strong examples. But yeah, this is what defines autocratic leaders, I guess. So, Ping Han, if I may ask you again, what do you think are some personality traits that you associate Hitler with?
Very dominating.
Very dominating.
Makes a decision by himself.
Mm.
That's all I can think of.
Okay. Yeah, but these are the key. These are correct. These are the key aspects of a autocratic leader. So as we've said, right, people like Hitler, they are very dominating. They make decisions without really caring about other people. So it's quite obvious to see like how team members might not like such leaders. But yet, can we think of scenarios where autocratic leadership will still be necessary despite its many disadvantages? Okay, so I'll now move on to the pros and cons, and you can figure out the answers through the next slides. Okay, so autocratic leaders, they're firm, they're decisive, they're efficient, they keep the team on track and productive. So that's the bright side. But yet, the autocratic leader also seems very harsh, and he seems uncaring of his team's opinions. So think of an NCO giving you guys hard orders, fall in, okay, then doing punishments. You can really feel how sad it is. You might feel undervalued, you might feel abused, you might definitely this is not too good for your team synergy, right? And not very creative as well. But yet, this also makes things a lot more efficient. For example, on a normal day, you could be talking to your squad mate, taking your time, um, strolling in to fall in. But then on that particular day, when Denzel is being very harsh, everyone's gonna be scrambling to fall in, right? A 1 minute fall in can be cut to maybe 10 seconds. So how can we? So given that this leadership is so effective, how can we make it work despite its many disadvantages? So autocratic leadership, it works when you demonstrate respect. Napoleon once said that men are either moved by fear or self-interest, and we don't want a leader that leads by fear because things can quickly go wrong, right? So there needs to be respect for the leader, so self-interest. And the leader also needs to respect his guys in the first place for this to work. So while he makes decision by himself, it will be very helpful to his team members if he can communicate why he did things a certain way to them. For example, going back to the example of the NCOs knocking you guys down, punishing you guys, uh, it'll be very senseless sometimes if they just punish you without saying why. But after you're punished and they tell you like, okay, so actually we made you all do push-ups just now because of uh, your lack of punctuality or maybe lack of discipline. If they explain their choices to you guys, uh, it will allow the team to understand his leader more, and in general, this will help you a lot as an autocratic leader. Okay. So let's think about another setting in, for example, a public duty setting. Uh, the NCO must deploy his first aiders fast, right? When there is injuries, there's no time to hear like, okay, like who do you think you should treat first? Do you want to treat this person first or that person? He can't because there are injuries and lives at stake. So in such a setting, it's another great example of when we should employ autocratic leadership, when we need fast and efficient leaders. And after treating the injuries, you can slowly provide a platform to explain each injury, explain why he posted maybe this cadet to this casualty. And also the rest of the points, he should be consistent in behavior. If not, if you have someone that is very harsh on you, but he constantly like his mood swings and then his behaviors don't tally. One day he's saying this, the next day he's saying something else. It's very easy to lose faith in this kind of people, right? And yeah, so earlier we mentioned that there are times that we need autocratic leadership. So one very good example of this would be when your team members are less experienced in an issue at hand. So that's one. And secondly, it is when you have a very tight timeline. So in these two cases, you need someone to helm the team to tell the team like, okay, this is what we need to do now, so the task can be done fast and within the deadline. Yeah. Okay, so far, does anyone have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so let's go on to an example of an autocratic leader. Gordon Ramsay, some of you guys might have watched his videos on YouTube. He's famous for scoring profanities at chefs whenever they make mistakes and just being very harsh on them in general. But yet, why is his employees still remarkably loyal to him? To some extent, Ramsay is definitely dramatized on TV shows, and he might not be so harsh in real life. But beyond that, his culinary perfection, his vision for culinary perfection is very clear, and he communicates this to his team members. Everybody knows he just wants to be like the top chef around, right? And in return, he also gives his team members the opportunities to perform at a higher standards. So perhaps uh, good kitchen, good tools, the knowledge, the resources in order to excel in the culinary world. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So when you consider all of these factors, right, how he actually helps, how he communicates a vision and also helps his team members to achieve this vision, it makes sense why, even though he's very harsh, uh, but he doesn't come off as unreasonable, but just it's he comes off as a harsh leader, I guess. These are some quotes that he said. Particularly if you see the one in smaller font, I don't like looking back. I'm constantly looking forward. I'm not the type to sit and cry over spilled milk, and I'm looking for the next cow. So it really shows you this very straightforward, fast-paced, no nonsense kind of person. So now let's pause and reflect about these two questions. I'll give you 3 minutes for this. So how are the two leadership styles that you've just learned different? Thereafter, how are these two leadership styles similar? And lastly, as a personal question, just note down one insight you have gained about being a leader thus far. You can also work on your gingerbread in the meantime. So 3 minutes. You can also use this time to take a quick toilet break if you need. Yeah. After 3 minutes, I'll get you guys to share some of your responses. Okay, 3 minutes is up. Can I get Zhiqi from Nanyang Girls? Hi Zhiqi. So, what do you think are some differences between democratic and autocratic leadership?
The democratic leader consults the members before making a decision, but the autocratic leader does not.
Yeah, okay, so very straightforward, right? So, hold on. So, for the next question, what do you think is the similarities between these two questions? Two leaders.
I'm not sure.
Okay, it's okay. Uh, Anybody that has an answer to this?
It's a similarity that they both need like strong decision making skills.
Sorry, who is this? Is this
I'm Glenda from NYGH.
Glenda? Hi, Glenda. Could you repeat that?
Is it that they both need strong decision making skills?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. So, further on that track, what else do you think are the similarities between these two leaders? Strong decision-making skills. Are they both the decision makers?
I think for democratic leaders, they are kind of the leaders, but it's like everyone is helping them. But for autocratic leaders, they're the only ones making the decision.
Absolutely. So that's the differences. But similarities-wise, will you say that both make the final decision, final say in the team?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's another similarity. Okay. So for the insights, I won't get you guys to share. Thanks, Glenda and Ziqi. Uh, so the insights afterwards in the lecture, there will be time for you guys to fill in a form about the insights lah. Okay. So let's move on now to the third type of leadership style that we'll cover today. This word is pronounced laissez-faire leaders. So laissez-faire leaders are rather hands-off and they take a back seat rather than drive. So the purpose of a laissez-faire leader is to ensure that the team has the right amount of resources and the rest of the space is actually granted to the team for free play. So think about the St. John's CCA training. What sort of team members do you think laissez-faire leaders are suited for? Let's say in your St. John setting wise, which platoon do you think, which level of cadets do you think that laissez-faire leaders will be the most suited for? How about Brendan from HCI?
The more matured ones, like Platoon 4.
Okay, Platoon 4 is the NCOs, right?
The Platoon 3.
Platoon 3, okay, yeah. Yes, that's absolutely correct. So it's the more matured ones. And actually, Brendan, if I just continue asking you, so laissez-faire leaders, as I mentioned before, are hands-off leaders, right? So do you think that means they don't do anything?
I think that means like they take some part of it, but most of the work is the responsibility of the team members.
Definitely the responsibility of decision making is up to the team members. So what do you think they actually do?
They guide the team members in the right way, in the right direction, but they don't step in to help them as much as the other leaders.
Absolutely, that's absolutely correct. So, thanks, Brendan. So actually, as you said, there's also a big struggle that the leader face because you constantly have to balance between how much to step in and monitor your team and how much space to give them for them to like run the show themselves. Okay, so let's look at some potential problems that laissez-faire leaders might face. So the bright side first, okay. So a laissez-faire NCO allows Platoon 3, as you said, to plan and organize their own training. Sounds of rejoicing from Platoon 3. They feel trusted, they feel motivated to come up with their own training plan. And perhaps, the ones better on foot drill is gonna be in charge of the foot drill lesson. The ones better in home nursing, first aid will take charge of their respective lessons, right? Capitalize on their own strengths. But then the chaos happens. So first of all, the food drill session, it just ran over time. But then because the NCO wasn't there, the platoon decides just not to tell him about it and to carry on with whatever they're doing. So this time dragged on to first aid, where there was not enough time, and there was not enough. And the time management was even worse during the first aid session. So instead of like doing a CPR session, they just had enough time to like bring out the dummies and clean the dummies, and then they have to put back the dummies ready. So the entire lesson ended up as quite a flop, and in the end there's chaos because the team isn't very self-directed. So that in summary tells you about how laissez-faire leadership can be very empowering, but at the same time, if the leader isn't there enough to make sure that they're going in the right direction, chaos can quickly happen, right? So how can we make it work? As Brendan correctly pointed out earlier on, the team members need to first be well experienced in whatever they're doing. If you want someone to run the show and they have no idea what they're doing, then you're already in for trouble, right? Then second of all, even with experience, you also need your team members to be motivated. There is no point if your team members know what they should do, but they don't feel like doing it. And when you're not there to supervise them, they're just not going to do it at all, right? So the struggle comes when laissez-faire leaders need to constantly monitor progress and performance closely. Whenever there's something good that they're going in the right direction, you must encourage them and assure them that like, hey, you're going in the right direction, and like how else further you can go. And on the flip side, the moment that they do something that's not good, or like they're not productive, then you must step in to like urge them a bit, like, okay, maybe you should try a bit harder, maybe you should remember that the deadline for this is when and when. So let's take a look at an example of laissez-faire leader. So Warren Buffett, this guy, basically he's an investor. What he does is he invests in companies, and his team members, his so-called team members, are the CEO of these companies because after they do their respective jobs, in the end he profits, right? So who understands these companies better than the CEOs themselves? Nobody, right? So Buffett's style is letting these CEOs run their own show, and he simply gets out of the way. And the result of this is that he's the fourth wealthiest person in the world. So what Buffett says, you can't make a good deal with a bad person. Actually, I only found one quote from him, but I think this sums up laissez-faire leadership quite well. So a laissez-faire leader really depends on capable team members, whereas he monitors at the sidelines. Just like how Buffett can only make good deals with capable people. Okay, now let's do an activity. On a scale of 1 to 10, you can either draw this scale on your books, or you can have like mental scale. Rank these 3 leadership styles, with 1 being the least degree of control by the leader, and 10 being the highest degree of control by the leader. How about Tanya from Bukit Panjang? Hi Tanya. So if I were to ask you to rank these 3 leadership styles, where will you place them on from 1 to 10?
The least degree of control by the leader is the laissez-faire leadership.
The least is laissez-faire, so you rank it a 3, a 2.
3.
Okay, rank it a 3. How about autocratic and democratic leadership?
Autocratic 4.
5.
And then
Autocratic, how much will you rank?
autocratic 4.
4. Okay, then democratic?
8.
Democratic 8. Okay, Ken, let's hear from someone else. How about Kylene from Crunchy Sec. Is it Kylene? Am I pronouncing it right?
Hi.
Hi, Kylene.
Hello.
So, how are you ranking these 3 leadership styles in the scale of 1 to 10?
Lucifer. Probably 2. 2.
Which one is 2, sorry?
And Lucifer.
Ah, the
Lucifer, I
Lucifer,
don't know how to
okay.
pronounce.
Yeah.
Then autocratic. Probably 5.
5, okay.
5. Then democratic. 7 or 8. Yeah, around there.
7, 8. Okay, sure, thanks. So between both their responses, there is a pattern, which is correct, which is that Lucifer is the least degree of control amongst these 3 leadership styles, and democratic is the highest degree of control, right? Because you have to constantly listen to your team members and judge which of their opinions to take and which one not to take. So uh, now, Kylene, if I was to ask you one more question, so which leadership style do you think the leader requires the leader to do the least?
I think autocratic because like they don't really like. Okay, maybe like Lucifer. Wait, Lucifer. Probably Lucifer.
Okay, why Lucifer?
Because like they, I don't know. Because I
Okay,
don't really know.
it's okay.
Sorry.
So actually, I was gonna say that the second question is a trick question. So the degree of control doesn't affect the amount of work that the leader does. So actually, you can't really determine like which kind of leaders do the least kind of work. Because let's say usually people might think Lucifer leaders control the least, right? So they should do the least amount of work. But that's not true because the Lucifer leader also needs to put in a lot of preparation work to make sure that his team really has enough resources to survive by themselves. And he also needs to just like juggle this very delicate balance of just being there to make sure that everything is fine, but yet not interfering in whatever his team is doing. Then let's say for autocratic leader, he makes the decision and exercises control over his team. So maybe he's not he doesn't really need to listen to everyone as much, but then he also needs to focus on his own experience and expertise to make sure he really knows what he's doing and make sure he gains the trust and respect of his team members. So that's how you can see that every leader actually has their own set of problems to focus on, and there isn't a style that like, hey, okay, if I become an autocratic leader, then I can do the least amount of work, because everywhere you go, it just means different sets of priorities and responsibilities. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna give you guys a 5 minutes quick toilet break. So in this 5 minutes, you can grab some food, have a toilet break, and note down for the last question any insights you have gained about leadership thus far. Okay, so 5 minutes shall start now. Okay, I see people are coming back. Just give about 20 more seconds for everyone to join back. Once you're back, you can turn on your webcam so I know that you're back. We still have a lot of people with their webcams off. Do turn on your webcams when you all come back. Okay, nice. Charlotte, Kai Kit, are you all there? Jennifer from Bukit Panjang. Emma from Nanyang. Brian from Hachong. For those that are here, just try to keep to the timing next time, guys. Because if you all don't keep to the timing, then the lecture is gonna drag when we wait for everyone to be back, lah. And ultimately, remember what I said about self-ownership and yeah. Be responsible both to your own learning and your friends' learning, guys. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna continue because it's been more than 5 minutes. So for the rest of your friends, you can drop them a text in WhatsApp group, tell them that the lecture is gonna start. So please join back ASAP. Okay, so let's move on now to the last type of leadership, servant leadership. So servant leadership are these kind of leaders, they place the needs of others above their own. Maybe that already sounds familiar to some of you guys. They focus not just on the job, but on the people doing the job. They place the satisfaction of the team members above everything else. Okay, so now satisfaction here doesn't refer to like happiness, like playing card games like Uno. It means ensuring that the experience is a meaningful one for your members, that they don't only just get a task done, but they learn and grow as a person through the process. So what are some personality traits of a servant leader? And what is the main goal of a servant leader? So if we take a look at the last question now, what do you think is the difference between a servant leader and a servant? So maybe I'll get Wakong from HCI.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Wakong. So what do you think is the difference between a servant and a servant leader?
A servant leader is he must be able to control like his whole team and like assign tasks properly so like the whole team can get the task done.
Definitely. So what about a servant?
He listens to the leader and like tries his best to get the task done.
He listens to the leader and tries his best to get the task done.
Isn't it? Like the servant is like.
Okay, but yes, that is correct. So actually, if you think about it, the servant is someone. The servant is someone who listens to what you want, and then he just gives you whatever you want to make you happy, right? You say like, okay, I need a glass of water. He gets it for you, and you're like, okay, thanks for the glass of water. But a servant leader is someone who is a leader, right? So he thinks about how he can grow his team members, and it's not just blindly fulfilling whatever his team members want. Sometimes they might even ask you to like. Sometimes when they ask you to do things in CCA, like for example, first aid, food drill, at first you might not even be willing to do it, but through doing the assignments that they task you to do, you learn in hindsight when you look back like, oh, actually I grew a lot as a person, maybe through this camp, maybe through this event, this program that they held for you guys. So that is the main difference, because now we look at the second question. The difference is in the goal of a servant and a servant leader. So when the servant's goal is just to fulfill your every demand, a servant leader's goal is to think about what would best suit you and thus push you towards achieving these goals while also developing yourself as a person. So now let's take a look at the disadvantages and advantages of such leadership. So servant leaders, they boost the morale in the team and they build trust amongst the team as well. But actually, the only disadvantage of such leadership is that it really takes very long to achieve positive results, because we're really talking about character development here. It's something that even MOE wants to do. But have they done it in just 1 or 2 years? It's more of like a 5, 6, even longer plan, right? And it's also very hard to really prioritize the needs of others above yourself, because you're essentially using your own time and your energy to think about how to benefit the life and the character development of someone else. And that's inherently difficult to do. So these are some traits that a servant leader should practice based on this research done by this guy called Greenleaf. So he needs to understand the needs of his people. So that takes empathy. In order to build you up as a member of the team, he needs to be clear not only of you as a person, but of himself. He also needs to commit to constantly communicating to you and to build the trust between you guys. I mentioned before that while he builds you as a person, he also needs to achieve the goals at hand, the tasks, whatever he needs to do in front of him, right? So that requires foresight, because he needs to link whatever you're doing with your character development. And lastly, stewardship as well as commitment to growth, which is his willingness to help you as well as to serve you above himself. So y'all can copy this down in your notebooks. These are the common criteria of what it takes to be a servant leader. And you can also see this is why it's so hard to be a servant leader, because there are so many factors to consider, and you just have to be a very selfless person in general. Okay, I shall move on now. Okay, so an example of servant leadership is Mother Teresa, because this person is a very good example of someone who had a genuine intention to help other people, regardless of her own like energy and whatever. She did things to help others and not for fame. So these are some quotes that really show you how she literally says, "Let no one come to you without living happier. And if you judge people, you have no time to love them." So you can see how her focus was on other people rather than herself. Okay, so now let's try interesting activity. Steve Jobs is widely regarded as a successful leader, and he said a bunch of things in his career and in his lifetime. So comment the leadership style now that you sense from these quotes in the chat room. I'm just going to be showing you a few quotes. Right. So this is the first one. If you want to make everyone happy, sell ice cream. So go onto the chat room, comment what leadership style you think this represents. Okay, Glenna says autocratic leadership. That's autocratic. Okay. Servant leader. Short, laissez-faire, democratic. Okay. Okay, yes, I'm glad that we've gotten an engine going. Okay, so next quote. My job is not to be easy on people. My job is to make them better. So what style do you think this reminds you of? Autocratic. Okay, servant leader. Yes. Autocratic. Okay. So, yes. Okay, next quote. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. So what leadership style do you think this is? Laissez-faire, autocratic, democratic, a lot of laissez-faires. All right. Servant leader, yeah. Then lastly, is this the last one? Yeah, last one. Lastly, management is not about persuading people to do things they do not want to do. Management is about persuading people to do things they don't want to do, while leadership is about inspiring people to do things they never thought they could. Laissez-faire, servant leader, democratic, laissez-faire, servant leader. Okay, so thanks for all your proactive responses. So now let me just remind you that Steve Jobs was one person. This was just one guy, right? But there were so many different uh, theories on what kind of leader he was. And at some point with all these quotes, he might as well have been all of these styles at once. But there's also one thing that all the critics had agreed on, and that was that Steve had a passion for his job. Pun. Okay, so Jobs was unwaveringly passionate. His passion, passion, passion. So now I've been asking you guys to add on to your gingerbread man throughout the lecture, and to think about at various points in time, insights you have gained about leadership through the lecture. So now I want you to log on to this website, menti.com, and enter this code 3836591. So you might enter your insights into this website, but take note that you can only summarize them into words and phrases. So you cannot type like long sentences into the website. Yeah, so summarize your learning pointers into just words and like short phrases. Okay, hold on. I think the code doesn't work. Three six eight five five. Okay, use the new code 368855. Sorry, the previous code expired. Ah, okay. It works now. Okay, so I see many responsibilities here. Consideration, different styles. Yes, you've learned four different styles so far. Accountability, reliable, fair, patience. Okay, so I see many good attributes that we've pointed out that defines a leader. And at any point in time, if y'all see this word cloud, y'all see interesting words, new words that y'all have not thought about, you can also add them into a gingerbread man, okay? So this gingerbread man is gonna be the ideal leader that you're gonna strive to become when you're an NCO and even now as a cadet. Then you can also link these things to parts of his body if you can. Maybe communication, or link it to his mouth, carrying maybe to his heart. Values are needed. Making right decisions, yes, good pointers. Putting others before self, servant leadership. Um, Mutual respect. Yeah. So actually, many of these things that you're talking about, I'll quickly go through them later. But basically, you realize that whichever style of leadership that you take, whichever four styles, you might be an autocratic, you might be a servant leader, you might be democratic, or you might be laissez-faire leadership. But some things stay the same, right? Just like how Steve Jobs had passion, even though he had all these leadership styles. It doesn't matter which kind of leader you are, but what you believe in. So, like, if you're a responsible leader, if you're a confident leader, if you're an open-minded, positive leader, so on and so forth. Okay, I'm just gonna stop share now because I'm running out of time. So let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so learning summary. Thanks for all your sharing, guys. Key learning point one is that there is no perfect leadership style. I've taught you four styles so far, and great leaders blend all four of these styles to suit their needs. So another thing that we've also learned is that no matter which style of leadership you use, there are consistent values and beliefs that define you as a leader. So let's watch a video now.
My name is Scott Harrison.
Just listen.
This is my wife.
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight, and the Wright brothers beat them to it? There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery. And this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You ready to buy a computer from me? All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this 6-minute sharing by this guy called Simon Sinek. Actually, he makes quite good videos. You can search him on YouTube and watch the rest of the video yourself. Okay, so back to the slides. Okay, so what does this video teach us? Great leaders people don't focus on a what, they focus on a why. So while you can switch between different forms of leadership, ultimately it's your character, your person, that defines you as a leader. So the first video is actually a video that shows you about traits that great leaders possess, and I have taken a screenshot of this summary page. So if you wish to watch the whole video, you can just search 7 traits all great leaders possess, and it will do an in-depth explanation of each of these traits. But if not, this is a summary page. And basically, a good leader is someone that motivates with his positive energy, who is very proactive, delegates their task, approachable, leads by example, who is accountable, and makes their decision fast. So of course, this is just one guy's opinion on what are the traits, what are the things he found similar in all the great leaders. But throughout your experience in St. John and in life, it's really up to you to define what are the traits that your great leaders possess. What are the traits that you've written down right now in your gingerbread man? So that brings us to key learning point 2. What is most important is that you know yourself, your beliefs, your values, what you feel is right or wrong. This is what defines you and ultimately defines what kind of leader you're going to become. Self-awareness is what makes us unique. It's our strength and weakness. It is what we believe. It's our personality. So why is self-awareness important? So self-awareness, if you can see the bolded words, by knowing your strengths and weaknesses, knowing what drives you, you can use it to create better goals for yourself. Identify situations, things, and people that can make us upset, they can make us angry, and by anticipating how you're going to react, you can then make better behavioral changes. You can predict and in advance. Let's say, I know that I hate latecomers. I'm a person that cares a lot about punctuality, and I know that I have a team member who likes to come late all the time. So by knowing myself well enough and knowing him well enough, I'll be better prepared. I'll be better prepared to handle him whenever he comes late for a meeting or for something, and I won't just like flip the moment I see him, right? So this my Skills Future account is actually a government account granted to all of us, and it has quizzes on skills, confidence, and work values to understand more about ourselves. But alternatively, there is also this very popular quiz online called 16 Personalities. I'm just gonna post in the chat room. So 16personalities.com is actually a link that where you can do your MBTI test. It's another psychological test that does like an in-depth review of your character and your personality. So whenever you have the time, you can go onto the link and try out the quizzes. It's quite a long quiz. Okay, so key learning point 3. We have talked about being a leader, about understanding yourself, but it's also very important to understand your team members and what they need, because ultimately you're leading a team, right? Whatever you are, whatever you're doing, it is for some people. It's for the people that you're leading. So let's say, for example, as an NCO, if you're in charge of secondary 1 cadets, perhaps you need to be more directive, more autocratic. But if you're leading some more mature cadets, as in secondary 3 cadets perhaps, then you can be more hands-off, maybe democratic, maybe laissez-faire, and so on and so forth. So as we're kind of running out of time now, I'm just going to go straight into the debrief. So can a servant leader be an autocratic leader at the same time? Can a servant leader be a democratic leader at the same time? The answer to both of these questions is yes. And at your own free time, you can think about when a servant leader will need to exercise his authority over the group, or when a servant leader will need to exercise democracy in leading his group. So examples that I mentioned previously, like feedback sessions, for example, can be how a servant leader chooses to open up the floor to discussions, to take in opinions from his team members, or rather when his team members make mistakes or needs to be guided or very unproductive, maybe that's when he needs to exercise more authority over the group. So what what I'm trying to say here is the fourth learning point, which is that, the third learning point, which is that you need to understand your team members as you work with them. So now at the fourth learning point is that now that we've learned about team leaderships, right? Now as a team member, you then have to understand the leader that you're working with so that you can manage the pitfalls accordingly. For example, if I'm a team member currently and my project leader is someone who is more laissez-faire, who prefers to be more hands-off, then as a team member, you might want to take more ownership and self-directedness so that he doesn't need to constantly struggle in giving you new assignments to do. Yeah, so that are the 4 learning points that I want you guys to take home today. And this is just a slide from the ANCOC lecture from the advanced course, so you don't need to worry about it. Basically, I'll put in this slide for you guys to show that from this lecture, you have learned about the different leadership styles of how they can employ as an NCO, as well as the importance of knowing yourself, knowing your team members well, knowing how to adapt to different situations. In ANCOC, you learn more about how to adapt as a leader and use this model called the team developmental model or the Tang model. Actually, I'll post it as well. Model. So the Tang model, which is I just posted in the chat, is this developmental model for your team. And using it, you can see what your team needs at different stages, how you can adapt as a leader. So that's how you're going to build on to whatever you learn in this lecture in advanced course next year. So what makes a leader? Look at your gingerbread man now, and hopefully over the course of this lecture, your answers and your gingerbread mans have changed over time. And it will continue to develop over time as well. For now, I'm going to post a link on the chat room, and you can use this link to post your responses to what defines a leader. Hold on, let me just get this link out. Okay, yeah, I've posted the link on the chat room. So just use this link to log on to Padlet and fill up according to your columns. So according to your room numbers. There are 6 columns in the website for you guys. So you can see here in this link, right? Actually, this is where I want you guys to upload your photos. So you can upload your answers to this question. What is a leader in your opinion? As well as your photos of a gingerbread man. Oh, I see I have more than 1 like. Thanks for your support. Well, you don't just upload the photos, guys. Make sure you label your name and your responses in your post as well. Oh, okay, Jason. Your gingerbread man has many values. That's great. Yeah, but you copied my gingerbread man design. Okay, but sure.
Tony, there are two cadets in the chat group who are requesting for a QR code because they don't seem to be able to access the web page.
Oh, QR code. Sorry, but there's no QR code though.
Okay, for those students, for those cadets who cannot access the page, maybe you can ask your friends to send you the link separately. I think the others seem to have no difficulty accessing the page.
Yeah. Wow, I see some very cute gingerbread mans. You know, when you post your gingerbread mans, you can also like do a small write-up on like basically your definition of a leader. You know, when I search Google, Google says leader is someone that blah 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 blah. So give me your own definition of what do you think makes a leader. Oh, there is. Oh, okay, there is a QR code. Wow. Can you use this QR code? Wow, gingerbread. Wow, some of y'all can draw very well. So I see many values that you all have pointed out. Perseverance, resilience, communication skills. Many cheerful gingerbread mans. Okay, thanks for your responses, guys. You can continue to upload your gingerbread mans because when I tried it myself, it took quite long to like upload the photo up on the website. So upload the photo and you can feel free to comment on your friend's gingerbread mans. I've seen a few nice drawings up there. So for now, I will come to the end of the lecture. So all I have to do left is the Q&A session. Okay, so I'm gonna post another link in the chat room. This link is for the Google survey. It's a simple quiz with just maybe 3 to 4 questions. So just fill them up and let me know if there are any questions through the quiz or straight away in the chat room because I have around 5 minutes left. So just do the quiz in about 3 to 4 minutes and I'll go through the questions if there are any. Hang on. Oh, you didn't manage to scan the QR code. Ethel, maybe you can try the link that Eula sent to everyone. Okay, but for now the priority, guys, is to do the forms, okay? Because there's also a question segment in the form where you can submit any questions you have for me after this lecture. So I want to answer any questions you all have so that we can wrap up this lecture. Okay, the responses are coming in.
Midtime or 10 minutes break or 15 minutes break after.
Okay, hi guys. Thanks for your comments for the lecture delivery. So far, I don't see any. Okay, I see one question. Will the test on this? Yes. So whatever I've covered in the lecture today, you'll be tested. But the slides are already uploaded onto Google Classroom, so you don't really have to be too worried if you didn't manage to catch everything. I saw some comments that I went through a bit faster. I could have paused at the slides for a longer time. So yeah, but anyways, these slides, even though I made a few edits to it myself, the basic content, everything that you need to know is already in Google Classroom. So if you need further revision, you can refer to the Google Classroom for the materials. Okay, I see more questions. Are there more types of leaderships? What are other types of leadership styles? Okay, so interesting question. So these 4 types of leadership styles are actually like what the the department has gathered for you guys. It's just 4 very simple and very broad kind of leaders: democratic, autocratic, servant leader, laissez-faire. There's definitely more kinds of leadership styles, and you can at your own free time go and Google them. But for now at secondary 1, it is quite sufficient. Even at 20 years old myself, I feel that knowing these 4 leadership styles is quite sufficient because as I said, it's just 4 very basic type of leadership style, and everybody that you come across, you won't just classify them into one style like, okay, this guy's a democratic leader, this guy's autocratic. You often see people with like a lot of like mixture of styles, a lot of blends. So if let's say he's 70% democratic and 30% laissez-faire, what kind of style does that make him? Like, it's very hard to define, right? So at your level, I would say that it's sufficient to know this like 4 main ingredients and just know that everyone is like some sort of unique dish made from these 4 ingredients of their own. Will this be tested in an assessment? No, this will be tested in theory tests, but the assessment is a recorded video of your lecture, of like a mini lesson. So how you're going to give this mini lesson is it's going to be tested in the next module after this. So you don't need to be worried about being tested on this. I mean, there is no practical knowledge that I've really taught y'all. But this is going to be in the theory test, yes. Is the test going to be MCQ? The MCQ questions, but they're also open-ended questions. But the open-ended questions are fairly simple, and you just need to refer to the slides for the content. Oh, but it's closed book, so revise beforehand, then go for the test. Anyways, for the assessment, right, later on there'll be an assessment brief in afternoon, after lunch, to tell you in depth about what you need to prepare, what's expected of you guys and everything. So you don't need to be too worried about that. Okay, if not, I think these are the majority of the responses that I'm getting. If there's any heart-burning questions, you can find me after class or post in the chat room. But yeah, in the end, just a reminder that this lecture is really for you guys to. It's like when we talk about leadership, right? Don't focus on a test because test is secondary. What we want you to focus on is really first on yourself as potential leaders. See how these skills can really help you out and build you to become better people first and foremost. And second, to prepare you on your future NCOship whenever that might be. So the test is really not important. And after all, if you don't get past it the first time, you get past it the second time because the test is standardized. So don't be too stressed out about that. And I'm glad that most of us had a good time.